You good? See. Should I mute it? Okay, so welcome to Seize the Day. We hope you guys are enjoying the conference so far. Thank you, Carla. So we have Carla from Warren County joining us. If you're just joining us, if you could put in the chat where y'all are from. Julie and I are both from Prince William County Schools at Coles Elementary in Manassas, Virginia. All right, we've got Fredericksburg. Is that Fredericksburg Schools or Spotsylvania?
It's easier to just unmute. It's actually private day special education in Fredericksburg. Okay. So we serve students from like as far north as Fauquier currently, south to Caroline, east to King George, and west to Orange.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, if y'all want to unmute, that's great. I'm a visual person, that's why I asked for John.
Also, if you want to include if you're elementary or secondary, that'll help us out too.
Hey, Kathy and Ashley, where are you joining us from?
Oh, Fairfax County.
Awesome. What school in Fairfax? Annandale. Okay, cool. So I grew up in Fairfax County, went to Cherry Run Elementary and Lake Braddock for high school and middle school. All right, fabulous. Well, I think we're going to go ahead and get started. And that way we can kind of keep our time scheduled. Okay. So we're going to be doing part of our presentation today using Wixie. And then part of our interactive experience will be using Book Creator. Okay. So the first thing we want to talk about is what are our goals today. So we have three that relate to incorporating multiple language domains, using digital tools to differentiate and extend our learning, and most importantly, giving our students voice and choice. A book we're going to be focusing on today as a great resource is called The 7 Steps. One step is taking learning objectives like this that we often post in a classroom and actually discussing it with students. So Ms. Keeney, take it away.
So we annotate our objectives, and so you can see for the first one, for our first objective, I can use digital tools to differentiate and extend learning. We would ask our students to read with us chorally because it helps them develop language. So don't unmute yourself, but let's all read it together. I can use digital tools to differentiate and extend learning. So we circled extend, and then we asked people, what does extend mean? So if you extend learning, go ahead and type in the chat what you can,
unmute.
Or unmute yourself. How could we annotate extend learning? Or if you have a way to, if there's something else you would want to write for differentiate, go ahead and unmute or go ahead and type that in the chat.
Okay, we're elementary, so we're used to a lot of interaction, but it's all good. We all have different learning styles.
I would say extend by application to real world situations.
Oh, I like
that. Okay, great. Like real world connections. Fabulous. Thank you for sharing. Does anyone else have anything they want to share? Okay, so our second objective is I can give my students voice and choice. So again, we would talk with students about some keywords like voice. What does voice mean? Voice is one of those words that has multiple meanings. So one of the ways that makes, thank you, Jess, for your comment. One of the ways that makes annotating objectives so key is increasing that academic discourse in the classroom. So when you see the word voice, that's a word you might hear in music class. You might hear it in the classroom, like lower your voice, raise your voice. Like we teach at a school that has a deaf and hard of hearing center. So for our students that are hard of hearing and they can vocalize sounds, sometimes their teacher will be like, okay, like sign and voice it, meaning like, okay, we're not just using American Sign Language, we expect you to actually articulate it like in spoken words, right? And then choice, we would relate that to something that kids would understand. So like at the elementary level, we often ask them to make a lunch choice in the morning if they're buying lunch at school. Like, do you want hot dogs or mac and cheese today? Make your lunch choice.
So, and we like to use Carol Salva's book, The 7 Steps, and we're going to focus on steps 5 through 7. And so that's use visuals and vocabulary strategies to support your objectives, have students participate in structured conversations, and have students participate in structured reading and writing activities. So the technology we use integrated with these language strategies really helps accomplish that. And we want to touch on the first step, which is ban the IDK, the I don't know. To get students to use the language, they can't answer with I don't know, because then they're checked out. And this is also from the 7 steps training that we went to, everyone went to in our county. So instead, you want to teach the students what to say when they don't know what to say. So this is the elementary version. We teach them to say, like, would you repeat the question? Could I have some time to think? May I ask a friend for help? May I please have some more information? I know some secondary teachers will add on to that, like, may I use the internet? So you can kind of make it your own, but you want to ban the IDK.
Okay, so both of us are actually ESOL teachers. I taught English language learners for 10 years before becoming an instructional technology coach. And Julie has experience in multiple levels of students in building language. And as we all know, we've got our social language and our academic language, and Virginia is a WIDA state. So we do look at those 4 domains of productive language, like speaking and writing, and receptive language, like listening and speaking. So in the past couple years, we've had the opportunity to use digital tools more with remote learning and then hybrid learning. And so today we're going to start off looking at Wixie. That's the particular application we're using right now to do this presentation. As you can tell, it looks a lot like PowerPoint or Sway, Google Slides. It's the same concept, God bless you, of slides with interactive features. So there's a whole template library, and this is an example of something I've done with our first graders and even just L1s in general, building vocabulary. So level 1, a task that's appropriate might just be to drag and drop, sequence these pictures, right? So we're doing the life cycle of a plant. So we're asking kids to put pictures in order, and that's showing us what they know, right? So that's appropriate, pretty short and sweet. But as kids gain more language, we can use that same digital tool. You've sequenced your pictures, but now you need to add a text box and add a description of that picture. So in this context, we're using that scientific vocabulary of seeds, roots, sprout, leaves, flowers, and a bee. And finally, we would take, again, the same activity, which we can take and produce that template and then duplicate it multiple times. We would now be adding simple sentences to it. And to get in other language domains, we always, whatever tool we're using, in this case, Wixie, you could do the same thing with Book Creator or Canva or Adobe, depending on what your district uses. All 4 of those have a audio recording and a video function. So in our school, if you're a speaker, you can record your voice describing all of these pictures, for example, the life cycle of a plant in English or Spanish. If you use American Sign Language or cued speech, then you could use the video function and add in that video to give your teacher feedback of what you know, or maybe like what you don't know. All right, so as you know, sentence stems are very important for English learners.
We use this for a podcasting project. So this was a group of level 2 English learners in 4th grade. And we wanted to learn more about their culture, heritage, traditions. So we co-taught this lesson, and we started off with annotating the objectives, and then we read through the sentence frames with the students, and then they got to write in their information, work with a partner, and practice saying or practice speaking, and then they got to record their podcast. And some of these students are students that can be very shy and not talk much, but they were really into this because they had so much support, and they had practice in all the domains, like reading, writing, speaking, and then they got to hear their podcast at the end, so that incorporated listening as well.
And so I just put a screenshot in the bottom left. So the platform we use is Anchor Radio. It is free, and you can access the podcast on both Apple and Android devices. So when we first started doing a podcast, we kept it really simple, and just every week students shared their writing. And so we did what we called like roadie readers episodes last year, and every week students across grade levels would share their writing. And they were super excited to one, have their voice recorded, and two, our principal would share the URL with parents so that no matter what smartphone or device they had access to with internet, they could listen to their kids share this writing online. This year, we've tried to add in kind of a culturally responsive instruction piece like Julie just shared, and also just an academic connection. And we'll talk more about that in a bit. So again, sentence stems and sentence frames are phenomenal. As we said, our objectives, we wanted to share some tools that we can use to elicit language. This cute little guy up here is the ChatterPix app. It is only available on iPads, like an Apple app. But what it does is students can take a picture of something and draw a line. And then when they record their voice, that line starts like speaking, right? So on this slide, what you're seeing is our kindergartners going to our school garden, and they were walking around taking pictures of living and non-living things. And then they had to complete the sentence stem in their ChatterPix recording, and also draw a picture. And that is how we both elicited productive language and held them accountable for their learning in both a written and an audio form. A lot of fun, super easy for even a kindergartner, and you get a lot of kind of student engagement. Again, in Wixie and in other apps that are similar, you can create templates and then hyperlink those templates. So our district has talked a lot about universal design for learning, and that's kind of the big buzzword this year. And aligned with that is personalizing learning. And an easy and fun way to do that is choice boards. So what you see here is a choice board that the librarian and I developed last year for our 5th graders, because in Prince William, they have a geography objective where they have to basically do like US regions and state features and all sorts of stuff. So in the past, we'd had them do PowerPoints and then sways, and then the extension was you could use the Doink app and create like a green screen commercial promo or Flipgrid and try and sell people like, you should come to here because, you know, Virginia has great beaches and there's a aquarium or whatever. This year, we decided to give them choice. Everyone got the same rubric. So the rubric meaning they had to have certain criteria related to the social studies content. However, they had a choice on how they wanted to share their research. So they had these 4 choices, as you see, and we were just hoping that giving them choices would excite students. What we didn't predict was that the students were so excited to have choice that most kids did more than one project, which doesn't usually happen with 5th graders. It's like bare minimum and done. So this is pretty exciting. So just to give you an example, here is like one of the students decided to do like persuasive writing. So again, the first slide in the template was a map of the US. They had to fill in the state, the region, the capital, and then kind of color in the state. And Julie, do you want to talk a little bit about this paragraph?
Sure. So this student was a level 3 English learner last year. So you'll notice that, some of the grammar, there's some issues, but just so you can see, like, students who are English learners, they have a blast with this. And, like, he did his research and he was able to come up with a great, you won't want to miss the top 10. So he came up with a really good project on this. They were all really into it.
And again, students had to include the audio recording so we knew that they could read their writing and again, summarize their research. It was awesome. So as we all know, in our ISTE, ComSci world, computational thinking is a big concept that we try to get across as teachers. And so we wanted to give a couple slides to show things we've done to kind of incorporate higher level thinking in math and coding, and again, simple tools we could use. So one of our favorite ones are B-bots.
Yes, we love the B-bots and the students love them too. So this is a group of kindergarten English learners. Several of the students in this group are also our DHH, or deaf and hard of hearing students, who are also English learners. So they were working in this picture on matching letter sounds. One of the boards is like numbers to the representation of the number. So they take the B-bot and then they program it to go to the different squares on the board. And of course, you can see our content objective, matching the letters to the word. And the other picture was the numbers to, like, they would match like the number 6 to like the 6 pumpkins. And then the language objective was that they could tell their partner what it was and what they were matching. So they get to have so much vocabulary integrated into this, like left, right, front, back, counting the spaces. And some of the students who are typically quiet and don't say much, they were talking a lot more while they were using the B-bots.
And so again, when we talk about supporting students with where they're at, digital tools like Wixie or Book Creator really offer that opportunity. So word problems, we use them in math. It's kind of like language arts that ends up in a math class, right? Because there's so much you have to understand. You have to understand, what do these words mean? What is the important information I'm supposed to focus on? And thanks, Kat. And how can I get my students to link this jumble of words with a couple of numbers in it and produce some sort of equation, right? And then how do I know that they even understand what they're doing, right? So in Wixie, when we have word problems to practice, we have the kids read it out loud to us. That way we know that they can read it. So there's our reading. In Wixie, they also have the opportunity to listen to it first because we've already recorded it as a teacher. And then this is a second grade example. We always ask the kids to draw a picture or to insert a picture. So this kid picked the chip bags and then show us with those pictures how you solve the problem. So he got 20 chip bags and then he crossed out 7 and then he was left with 13, right? And in his audio recording, he had to tell us exactly what he did. So just using a word problem has covered 4 language domains. You had to write the equation, you had to listen to it being read to you, you had to produce the language to kind of tell your teacher what you know. And again, both Wixie and Book Creator offer that audio or video option. So if you do have students that rely on sign language or cued speech, they too can tell you exactly what they're thinking. Using templates, this was a fun way to, again, bring some literacy concepts into math class. Some of the academic vocabulary in math gets a little crazy with some of our English language learners because acute isn't a word that you normally use in everyday conversation, but you might use triangle regularly. So they made a wanted poster, basically telling about the triangle, but in a fun way. And Julie's going to tell you a little bit more on how else you can kind of bridge that literacy math gap.
So Meg and I taught this lesson. You'll see this was during the year. We were back in school. Some people were wearing masks, some people weren't, but we still had some COVID issues going on. So we were using Wixie, and we made a template, and there were triangle pictures, like pictures of real world objects that matched. The students had to match the triangle to it. And they loved it. This group of students was very engaged with it. They're fifth graders. And they did a really good job with their Wixie presentations on this.
And then it was also an ability to use as a study tool, which again, that's the fun thing about Wixie and Book Creator. The kids can always access it after the school day. It's not like a worksheet where if you grade it and it doesn't go home, or an interactive notebook and it's in a binder in their desk, like this, if they have internet access at home, even if it's just a smartphone, they can still use this as a study tool for a test.
And one more thing with this, we had them, they had to record themselves reading what they had written. So that was a way to incorporate all the language domains in there.
Okay, getting back to voice and choice. So if you're familiar with Virginia Studies for fourth grade curriculum, they have to know the regions of Virginia. So working with a fourth grade teacher who at the time was teaching all 4 subjects, they weren't departmentalized, was okay, how can I bring some social studies content into my language arts block? So she wanted to review Writing a Friendly Letter, review Regions of Virginia, and so we made postcards in Wixie. So this student, this was a lot of language for him. He identified key industries in the Piedmont region. And then he also found for the front of the postcard, just like we would, pictures that represented key industries, right? Like farming and technology. Another fun thing that gets academic vocabulary out there, but in a fun kid way, is making trading cards. You can do this in Wixie, Canva, Adobe, or Book Creator. I like all of them, depending on the kids. I just try to work with whatever the teacher feels comfortable with and roll with it. So our primary grades at my particular school are Wixie. They like Wixie, they do Wixie, they know it, so that's what they stick with. And some of our upper grade teachers do venture into Book Creator, Adobe. But this template was out of Wixie. It was a trading card. It was their All About Me trading card, and all I did was shift it to the vocabulary they need to know for second grade social studies on Native Americans. So what we do is we use this as a review tool. So the students have their social studies notebook. They fill in the tribe, the region, occupation, transportation, home. They record themselves telling about the pictures they chose. And then we print it off for them. And then they actually walk around the room. So it gets them up. This is the unplugged side. And they trade cards. And then they eventually have all of the tribes that they need to know for their test, the Powhatan and the Lakota and the Pueblo. And of course, you could use that for any academic vocabulary, but just a way to kind of bridge that online world with an unplugged version. This is one of our DHH students. Our guidance counselor was having trouble getting vocabulary across that she needs to teach for her curriculum, and trying to figure out how can I elicit more language from these kids and get them to express themselves. So I worked with her and the DHH teacher, and we had students make their own feelings books. This is just one page of one of our students. And so basically we wrote the sentences in that the teacher said that her kids could read. So they would be reading it in English. And then she had them sign it in American Sign Language. And so it's sign language, so it's silent. But just to give you an idea, they have this video, and then we share the URL with parents, right? And the reason this is so important for learners, DHH students, is because most of our students can't communicate with their own families at home. So this student's family speaks Spanish at home. They are all hearing. He has some receptive language in Spanish, but doesn't speak it. And because he's still working on voice with our speech teacher. So he relies on American Sign Language. A lot of our parents work multiple jobs and don't have the time to study sign language or even English. So the cool thing with digital tools is you can send that URL home to parents, and they can practice signing, in this case, signing with their kids. And if it's kids that speak and rely on spoken English, again, you send the book home with them, and then parents that are English language learners themselves can listen to their kid read a book to them in English, and how empowering it is for kids to share their own book with their families. And Julie's taught PEP, so she can probably speak a little bit to that, why L1 is important to keep up.
Yes, because sometimes the parents, they'll hear from someone that it'll confuse their child if they speak in, and, like some parents have heard, I mean, as recently as last week, a parent said they were told to just speak one language with their child, but that's a complete myth. So we told the parents, like, it's important for their child to speak all their languages. All right, so the next thing we have for structured writing activities, we used Book Creator for this. This was in a 4th grade classroom at the end of the year, and we wanted to do something else besides a review packet for the reading SOL, because I think everyone was kind of overloaded with packets, and this was much more effective. So that we came up with the sentence frames, and then we had some of the so like there would be a question stem in there, like have one photograph and a caption, or include like this text feature. They had to do like a fact and opinion statement and illustrate it. It was a lot of things, and the students loved it. It was much more effective than any SOL packet. And they did really well on their SOL. And I think part of it was that they got really into this Book Creator activity for the SOL review. The class was about 1/4, like 25% English learners, and we had like a 90% pass rate. And I think a lot of it was the tech integration and co-teaching.
Okay, so again, when we were on this Book Creator kick, we still are. We kind of made a multi-day. Was it multi-day? Yeah, it ended up being multi-day. Yeah. Lesson that also involved reading, writing, listening, speaking. Shocker, the 4 language domains. So we had the theme of being bilingual as a superpower. We provided students with infographics with legitimate research-based facts on why speaking more than one language is amazing. Like more job opportunities, or your brain's working in multiple ways. You can make connections between words like cognates, for example. We gave students sentence frames where they had to complete them, again, related to being bilingual as a superpower. Because then the third thing is they went into Book Creator and they had to actually make their own slides related to why being bilingual is cool. And lastly, they made a podcast. And that was actually pretty phenomenal for kids to actually realize that being bilingual is a good thing. And so just to give you an example, you can see we have some soccer fans at our school. An advantage of being bilingual is more job opportunities. And of course, the majority of our students want to become professional soccer players, because who doesn't want to, given the World Cup? Amazing. But we even in our podcast included some of the staff at our school that are bilingual, which was kind of touching. Like one of our kindergarten teacher assistants was like, she's Puerto Rican, and she was like, I don't know that I've ever been asked as an educator to like share why being bilingual is an asset. And so on the one hand, I was kind of like, oh, like my teacher mom heart went out to her. But then I was like, oh my gosh, this is so great for our kids to hear an adult that they've known. She's been in kindergarten TA for years. Her own daughter went to our school, and they all know Mrs. Pagan. And so she even shared her life experience, like growing up in Puerto Rico, coming to the United States, navigating, 2 different cultures and speaking 2 languages. It was just really impactful for our kids to have someone that they know share their life experience that they could relate to, if that makes sense, like making a person-to-person connection using all these tools. And it came from this.
And especially with Miss Pagan, because she was their kindergarten TA. So like, I'm sure when they were in kindergarten, they weren't talking about how being bilingual is a superpower, but you could just see it in their faces. They really enjoyed listening to her talk.
It was awesome. And so again, this is an example when the infographics we shared with kids and giving them the opportunity to practice what they're saying with sentence stems before they say it. One of the cool things with technology is you always get a redo. So and you can always get rid of it, right? You can always push that delete button or undo or redo, all these tech functions. Whereas in real life, once you've said it, if you said it incorrectly, it's out there. You can still reread it or restate what you said, and absolutely you should, but it's not the same as just making it go away. And for some of our kids that aren't as confident or maybe a little more shy or they're self-conscious about having like a accent or dialect, we found this is like super powerful, like in any app you're using, whether it's Flip, well, former Flipgrid, now Flip, or if you're doing a podcast or any of the audio functions and things like Book Creator, Wixie, Adobe, Canva, and the possibilities are endless. They love the fact that if they record themselves and they don't like how they sound, they delete it. And the whole class hasn't heard them, which I think is super key. What do you think, Miss Jean?
I think so, because it gives them the ownership, like, and it builds their confidence. They speak a lot more and they're willing to take so many more risks, knowing that, you know, like they get unlimited redos.
Okay, so we wanted to try it out. So we originally had our in-person session, we have a Flipgrid where you can post an introduction. You are welcome to do that. You'll have the link and the Book Creator book we're going to share with you. So we really want to delve into Book Creator. So I'm going to do a new share just to make sure that things play nice. Okay. So if you want to unmute yourself, has anyone here used Book Creator in the classroom? Bueller?
We have over here in Fairfax.
Yeah. Okay, great. Right here. All right. Kat says no. Okay, so that's okay. So Wixie is a phenomenal tool. I love it. The pros are it's definitely geared towards elementary, middle schoolers, and there's so many things that are already in there for kids, right? The con is that you have to pay for it. So your school, your district would have to like buy a Wixie subscription for however many students you have, right? Scott Loomis is at Visi. He's at the Wixie booth, and he is the contact for at least Northern Virginia school districts in terms of Wixie. If you want a trial, he is your person. However, Book Creator is free for all educators. So that is phenomenal. So when you log on to Book Creator, any libraries you've created are going to show up on your teacher dashboard. And when you scroll down, it'll show any libraries you've joined. So what we'd like to do is have you join our library. So we made a library, and they call it a library because it's like figuratively like bookshelves with books on it. And here is the invite code for our library. So you're going to go to, if you haven't created an account, you're going to go to bookcreator.com. And then you're going to sign up. So it will require you to put in your educator email, like your school account, the .edu one. And then you will be able to join our library. So we'll give you a few minutes to do that, and just pop on the, like, unmute yourself if you need any assistance with that. And I'll drop the link for Book Creator in the chat here. I just thought of that. Sorry. Too many tabs. All right, so let me do a new share. This is what it looks like if you've not been on Book Creator before. Hopefully that screen share synced. Did that work? Okay, perfect. So you would do sign up. I'm already signed in. You would log in, and then in the bottom right, you're going to join the library. Awesome. Thank you. But look at that. I don't know, like, it's like Book Creator's having internet issues.
It looks like it's not loading.
I know. I'm trying.
I
I know
know
it's
it
coming.
is.
I think it was like maybe a
Yeah.
glitch. I
If
can.
someone needs the code again,
Okay.
let's type it in chat, maybe.
Oh, there you go.
That's Q5BH
Oh my gosh.
JQQ.
I can't even do it.
So Q5BH JQQ.
Mhm. Thanks. All right, how we doing? Who's in Book Creator? You got to unmute for that, like yay or nay, like.
Thank you, Ashley.
I'm
Actually,
in.
thumbs up. I wish I could give you virtual swag because I am way into like anything, stickers, candy. I'm not above extrinsic rewards. All right, how's everybody else doing? Kat, Jess, Carla.
This is Kat. I'm in.
Thank
Fabulous. Jess, you good?
Yep, I'm in.
Fabulous. Okay. So as you can see on the bookshelves, there's books, right? And so I thought this would also be kind of a nice networking thing. So you can see who was some of the people, not everyone was able to join, but some of the people that were at our in-person session this morning, they are all the books that have the blue border with the light bulb. So you're welcome to like open those in your own time. You all are going to go to this book. On the bottom, it has pencils. And what you're going to do is you're going to click the 3 dots. And when you click the 3 dots, you're going to get a pop-up. Oh my gosh, I need to get rid of these new windows. And on that pop-up, the one you're going to choose is, you can do copybook, or depending on what device you're using. We learned this morning. How do I get rid of Zoom windows? Go away, Zoom windows.
Just take it to the top.
On yours, you should have icons at the bottom with books, and you can do duplicate book as well. So either way will work depending on what kind of browser you're in. So most people, it's copy. And once you copy it, you should be able to open up the book and it should be editable.
And if it asks them
Is
to
that a
edit,
word?
yeah,
Editable? I just realized I don't even know this word.
they have to add it to the Visti library, right?
Yeah, you have to add it to the Visti library. And then if you could do, just so we don't get each other's books mixed up, you're gonna open up the text box and you would type in your name, job, and county, just to get practice typing the text box in Book Reader. So we'll give you about a minute to try that out. And please unmute yourself if you have any questions and we'll try and help. All right, so I see a couple people have successfully copied it. Awesome. Books are appearing on shelves. Very exciting. So just while you're getting situated, Book Creator, again, like Wixie, you can share that URL with parents. Whatever they create on here, the kids can access at home if they have that internet access. I know it works on Android and Apple phones. I know there's other phones out there. I'm not familiar with those, but I do know they work on those smartphones. And again, what a great way for students to show what they have learned in school and they're able to share out with their parents. Okay, so once you have your name, like let's see who's put in their name here, like Kat, we got Kat, technology teacher from Shenandoah County. Woo woo. And as you can see in teacher mode, you can see what people are typing. So as soon as you see like a little squiggle above it, it means they're typing something. So I can go in here to my class and I see Jess, Fredericksburg, Virginia. I went to college at Mary Washington. Yeah, Fredericksburg. And well, wait, I'm going to go back to hopefully my original one. And on the next page, I gave a blank page. And I don't know if anyone else is like looking forward to winter break, but I am. That's where I'm at right now. So I put my ideal winter break and it's a blank page. And the reason I did that is I wanted to give you the opportunity to play around with some of the tools. So the first tool is the plus sign, like in so many apps, right? You've got all of these categories. You got your media tab, shapes tab, your more tab, you know, with your embed link. So media is where we're going to hang out. So we're going to take a few minutes to make whatever you want to do. Make it like a montage. You can use images, video, words. You can draw with a pen to talk about your ideal winter break. So I will kind of demo for you using those tools. So if I press images, I can upload it from my computer or I can search. So one thing I know I'm going to be doing over winter break, weather permitting, is, what is it, Keeney? Do you know?
I
When I
bet
type in
skiing.
yeah, man. So one thing I will be doing over winter break with my family will be skiing if the conditions are right, and hopefully they are in West Virginia or Pennsylvania. Certainly won't be Virginia. Okay, so I could put in a picture. If my teacher asked me to label it, I'm gonna go right back there. Okay. And I could capture it.
And you could even record your voice reading the
Record my
sentence.
voice. What else do I want to do over winter break? Let me tell you. Is big with my kids. I have 5 kids between the ages of 2 and 12. So as a teacher, it's kind of cool. I have 3 kids that are elementary age, and 1 child who's in middle school. And then my youngest is a toddler, just like living her best life, following everyone around. But we can all bake together. Sometimes I feel like my house is like a mini classroom because I am differentiating like baking based on the ages of my kids, but I like baking. Keeney, do you want to add something that's your ideal winter break? What could you add?
If I could do anything over winter break,
Uh-oh, here it is.
I would I would
Be
like
professional.
I would like to go to the beach. Ideally Bora Bora, but let's face it, like on a teacher salary, I'm not getting to Bora Bora. So
Grant
I
funding.
think yeah. So I'm going to click on the plus sign and images, and I'm just going to search for beach.
Oh, I want to go all those, please.
Yeah.
Look at that one. That looks tropical.
This one, yeah, because I love stand-up paddleboarding
That's
and
yeah.
kayaking. This would be my dream, to spend winter break in this
In
location.
this tropical island.
Yeah.
With
tropical
no
paradise.
Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
With parents.
Yeah.
All right. And again, other features. The other feature I wanted to point out was the italicized I. And so that is where you can customize things. So I can like change my background. I could decide, you know, oh, I wanted this comic looking thing. Go back. I could change it to like add a border. This is gonna look terrible right now, but I'm just kind of having fun. So there's kind of different possibilities to customize it. If I was a music teacher, maybe my assignment to my kids would involve stats. So my oldest daughter is a 7th grader, and her orchestra teacher actually uses Book Creator, and she will put in like, is that correct? Yeah, she'll put in the notes for something they're supposed to know. They had to audition using like a selection from Brandenburg Concerto, right? So she like had the notes in Book Creator, and then the assignment for the students for like a grade was to go into Book Creator and then record themselves playing on their instruments. Like my daughter plays violin, so pretend magically there's notes on this page. So she was like recording herself playing the notes on the page and saving the recording, and then her orchestra teacher, who teaches I don't even know like how many hundreds of kids, could go back and listen to like my daughter's recording and give her feedback. So I like thought that was a great, you know, technology integration, and you know, she was getting the information that of course, you know, she needs as a teacher. Like we have to give real-time feedback to kids. Okay. Oh, it's like almost 4:15. Okay. So again, it's if you click pages, you can see your whole book. So this looks super similar to like PowerPoint or Google Slides, right? Like super similar. We did put the link to the Padlet if you want to post anything, or the flip if you want to post anything of yourself. We had the objectives, a summary of the 7 steps, and oopsie daisy, and the resources that we use for our presentation. So real quick, and all your free time, maybe we're going to break. We have some great links here for all related to language and some of the apps we've used, like Book Creator and English Language Learners, Wixie English Language Learners, Flip English Language Learners, and also Carol Salva is the author of this 7 Steps book. So that's like the cover of the book. Ask your principal to buy it today. It's worth their money.
And go to her Padlet.
and then-
It's awesome.
Same with boosting achievement. If you're in a district that has ELLs, particularly level ones from other countries, this is key. And she too has a Padlet that has a lot of like great ideas in it. A few like book creator things I wanted to point out is on your teacher dashboard. Sorry, it's like syncing fast. Hopefully that syncs. If you go to the top, you see these tabs, right? So libraries, those are all you. They're the things you created. Or if you scroll down, it's things somebody shared with you and you joined. If you click on Discover and you wait for it to load, there are so many cool templates in here that you can duplicate and lesson ideas. When you scroll down a little bit, it goes from like kindergarten all the way to higher ed with examples that people have published. If you go down even more, they have these great, they're literally like books. Like this one is where I would start, the big book creator activity book. You read it, everything in there is hyperlinked and all these ideas, like even if you teach, like say you're like a high school language teacher and teach Spanish or something, like how can you use that with your kids? And again, just a different way to search for resources is you go even further down and you can go look by subject. Just want to point that out. The other key tab is where it says certification. If you have like a 45-minute planning block, take this. It says become a certified author. It's super easy. It's like a series of videos where they're like showing you features of book creator and then ways you can use it. So it's basically kind of like more in depth of what we just did here since our time's limited. And the final tab is looking at app integrations, what things play nice. So unfortunately, our county doesn't, like we're not like a Google Classroom county. So I don't really use that, but I've heard from counties that do have Google Classroom. It's amazing. But I have used the Canva integration. I've also used the Google Maps integration for geography lessons. Amazing. So just different ways to play around with things. So in closing, we wanted to kind of walk you through another 7-step strategy. Julie's going to be the ringleader. And I think we could do this by unmuting ourselves, right?
I think so.
Virtual adaptation.
Yeah, so Carol Salva, he works for Sidlets. She provided this professional development to our county, and it's QSSA. It's question, signal, STEM, share, assess. So our question is, we want you to think. So don't say anything or type anything yet. Just think. What is one way you use digital tools to differentiate instruction and incorporate multiple language domains? And then just give us a thumbs up when you have your answer in your head, but don't type your answer. So once you have in your head an answer to one way I use digital tools to differentiate instruction is, give us a thumbs up.
Thank you, Kat. Thanks, Jess. All right. I think we're good.
Okay. So now you get a chance. So in person, we had students teachers talk to their shoulder buddy. You can also do like stand up, hand up, pair up, a lot of the Kagan strategies. So since we're doing this virtually, if you guys want to,
we could model it.
Yeah, well, let's model it.
Okay. So one way I use digital tools to differentiate instruction is to create multiple versions of assignments based on language level. I incorporate multiple language domains by using the audio and video function for students to record themselves reading what they wrote or explaining their thinking, and video for my students that use sign language and cued speech. Julie, How do you use digital tools to differentiate instruction?
So one way I use digital tools to differentiate instruction is with tiered sentence frames through different apps. So you kind of stole my answer a little bit, but that's okay. So like you can use different tiered and sentence frames on like, for example, Flipgrid or Flip. You know, you can have a variety of sentence starters depending on the level of your learners.
Okay, fabulous. Okay, so of course, one big thing is holding students accountable for their learning. Again, this is like I guess it's the ITC in me, like plug for digital tools, but like when you have 28 students in a classroom, you could call on each of the 28 kids, like, but that'd be a lot of hands raising and a lot of time.
And also it would be a lot of anxiety for your English learners. So like by letting them talk to someone else first, it lowers the effective filter.
But when you use digital tools, you can hold every single student accountable. Why? Because they have to submit it. It doesn't matter what you're using. It could be Flip. It could be Wixie. It could be Book Creator. It could be Adobe. Whatever they're doing, Canvas, whatever, you see it. So we're going to give you that opportunity today. Don't be shy. Step right up to Padlet. So we're going to go back to, let's make sure it syncs. Oh my goodness, too many tabs.
This is like flashbacks to 2020 teaching.
Like a moment. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to go back to our Book Creator. I'm going to open up this one and you will see this little like origami bird. That is the app symbol for Padlet. And since we're in presenter mode, I will open it in a new window.
Oh, we can just put it in chat.
And we can put it in chat. That's smart. I didn't teach virtually as long as my colleague here. So you're going to add to this Padlet. So this is how we would hold you accountable in class. Like this would be your exit ticket for the QSSA. So again, we have the sentence stem in here for a reminder. Like a new way that I'll engage ELLs with technology is blank. I'll do this by blank. So if you want to post a response, super simple. If you haven't used Padlet, you legitimately just press here. A new box pops up. You can write something in the subject, but you don't have to. And then down here is where you would type your answer. And as soon as you press enter, it magically appears on the screen. So we'll take a few minutes to do that and we'll be closing out for Q&A. If you need help getting on Padlet, just unmute and we'll go from there. All right, while we're posting, does anyone have any questions? Feel free to unmute. Or if you don't want to talk, you could put it in the chat. All right, while we're waiting, I'm going to drop in the chat our emails. Feel free to contact us with any questions. We love networking. Here's my email. And if you're on Twitter, here's my tagline. And then I'll put in Julie. Can you do it, right?
Uh-huh.
It's Ms, right?
Yeah, like
MS.
MS_KEA.
Where's the underscore?
I think up here.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right, great. Thanks for visiting. It says a new way I'll engage my ELS with technology is by using Book Creator to make word problems that include both pictures and text. Love it. That is literacy across the content areas. Bam. Nice job. I don't know who posted it, but thank you for contributing.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you. And don't be shy if you have questions for us. Please unmute or type them in the chat.
Awesome. Here's another one. A new way that I'll engage my ELLs with technology is with Book Creator. I'll do this by having them use their voice by adding pictures with text. Fabulous.
Wonderful.
Jude, you are a music teacher. Awesome. Jude's been our amazing tech savvy, like sitting in the room with us as like they're closing the building, dedicated. I mean, we can't even thank you enough. So also with music, Wixie also has the ability to like add sound, where you can add sound to your interactive workspace. Like you can play the piano and you can add notes that make sound too. All right, any questions? Okay, well, feel free to contact us. Hopefully people will post some more ideas on either in their Book Creator books or in Padlet. We hope that you guys have learned some new apps that you can try out in your classroom, or maybe if you were already using these applications, ways that you could try a new approach to something you've used before. So feel free to contact us with any questions, and thanks for your time and participation. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Kat, and thanks, Ashley, for your comments.
And have an awesome evening.
Yeah, thanks everyone for
We'll
coming.
hope to see you next year.
Enjoy the rest of the conference, everyone.
Thanks, Jude.